Hello, welcome everybody. It's great to be here and thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling webinar. Finally, we're launching ScienceDirect AI and we're delighted to be here to present it to you. My name is Dominic Graham. I'm a digital marketer here at Elsevier, and I'm here with a couple of my colleagues, Rose Louillier and Felisa van Hasselt, who are excited to share a groundbreaking innovation in full-text search and discovery with the launch of ScienceDirect AI. They'll be covering concerns and perceptions of Gen AI in research, challenges for researchers, and how ScienceDirect was developed by our team, along with the research community. So, to tell you a little bit about the agenda, we're going to start off with Rose Louillier. Rose is Senior Vice President of Researcher and Library Solutions. Rose, good morning to you.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Rose. I say good morning because Rose, like Felisa, they're dialing in from Amsterdam, so it's very early for them. Anyway, so Rose is going to share how AI is reshaping content discovery, research workflows, and decision-making in libraries, and also, in general, research and higher education landscape. Next, we'll review our principles, guiding ethical AI development and usage, and how researchers and librarians can be empowered by responsible AI practices. Then, Felisa van Hasselt, who is Senior Product Manager for ScienceDirect, will talk to you about the way forward with real-world applications, including how AI helps with literature discovery, synthesis, and insights with an exciting demo of ScienceDirect AI. Felisa, good morning to you too.
Good morning and good afternoon.
Thank you. For our audience in Asia Pacific, good afternoon. So Felisa will also outline the different use cases for Scopus AI and ScienceDirect AI. We'll return to Rose for some insight into what's on the horizon. And I also want to highlight that there will be plenty of time for a Q&A. We will do a distinct Q&A session at the end. So please contribute your questions using the Q&A function. And I promise we will return to them before the end of the session. Now, without further ado, please let me hand you over to Rose Louillier. Rose, do I have your mic? Okay, we seem to have lost Rose. I wonder, in this case, could we have maybe Felisa? Could we go to your session first, please?
Can you hear me?
Oh, Rose, you've returned. Hi, Rose.
Yeah, I'm sorry. For some reason, my internet suddenly froze. Apologies. I think it's still waking up as well.
No problem. We know it's 5:30 for you, so good to have you back.
I'm sorry about that. All right, let's get started. So what's the current state of AI in libraries and in the general research and higher education landscape? So when ChatGPT first emerged on the scene in 2022, we saw both huge excitement about the potential, but also some big concerns, especially among researchers and faculty and librarians, about lack of clear provenance and accuracy of the material used to train the algorithm, also the tendency of Gen AI to hallucinate, the use of Gen AI to cheat, etc. I'm sure you have all had requests to interlibrary loan for citations that actually didn't exist. So librarians in particular were generally anti-AI because they needed to curate reliable and valid content, teach the responsible use of content, and also support, the development of critical thinking skills. So early publicly available Gen AI tools were not really seen as supporting those goals. Instead, they were seen as undermining them. However, we saw a significant attitude change towards Gen AI in the last year, as everyone has acknowledged that Gen AI is really here to stay, and students and faculty and researchers are increasingly using it to advance their goals. Now, librarians have accurately identified a real problem that generalized Gen AI tools are not fit for purpose in the research and
It appears that we have lost Rose's audio. I wonder, Rose, are you still there? Okay, in that case, Felisa, could we perhaps move to your session of the presentation?
Sorry, I started talking without unmuting. Yes, we can. It's yeah. It's quite a shame that we don't have the introduction from Rose, but I can definitely go to my part. Let me see. Right. So Rose already. Oh.
Can you hear me? Am I back?
I'm sorry, Rose, are you back? Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I changed the internet connection now. I'm so sorry.
That's okay, Rose. Thanks. It's good to have you back. Hopefully this internet connection serves you better. So perhaps then we can return back to Rose's section. Rose, do you remember where you were?
Well, I don't know what the last thing was. Did you hear me present this slide?
Yes, this first, yeah.
Okay, great. Let's move to the next slide then. So we see that researchers and clinicians, they recognize the risk, but they also indicate they think Gen AI will actually be of huge benefit to both individual researchers and the disciplines as a whole. And we see 71% already expect the tools will be based on quality peer-reviewed sources only. So that is quite a significant change in attitude towards Gen AI. And that's an acknowledgement that Gen AI is here to stay, and students and faculty and researchers and librarians are increasingly using it to advance their goals. Now, while we see around 76% of researchers in an Oxford University Press survey in March 2024 said they were already using AI, we think usage by now will be almost common among researchers. But we need to be cautious about what AI means for research. Most of the tools out there are not built for research, and they lead to the much publicized anomalies and hallucinations that we see in the news and the headlines. So those tools that are built for research fail to assess the full text, and they leave a lot of the facts uninterrogated. And all of this has really led to you, the librarian community, quite rightly expressing your concerns about AI. But why is AI so compelling for researchers? So we see the workflow for research is very complex. It doesn't really proceed in any linear fashion. Researchers move back and forth between all these different tasks constantly, from extracting insights in existing literature research to writing and publishing research to discovering research, finding collaborators, etc. So we think the way to really help researchers is to give them tools to organize and streamline their workflow wherever we can. And we've done a lot of analysis and user research, and it shows that research really falls into three main groups that are very time intensive, and they have intellectual commonalities. So what ScienceDirect AI is focusing on is the reading, analysis, and design stage of research, as that is where a significant amount of researcher time is spent, and it can be very frustrating for researchers to spend so much time here. So reading is a big challenge for researchers. It's potentially the task they might find most exhausting of everything they do. Over 5 million academic articles are published every year. It's an expanding information environment. So researchers finding it harder and harder to determine, is a document useful? Where can I find the information that I need within the document once I have found it? And we found from our surveys that researchers spend around 35% of their research time a week on reading and analysis. And it's not just time consumption, but it's also the impact of inefficient time spent. The impact is not just the researcher's own career and research, but it's also the progress in general of their discipline. We see many researchers ideating on an incomplete picture of existing research in their field just because of the increasing burden of time spent finding and reading. So it leads to a very real chance that they're missing out on grants because it is duplicative research, or designing and conducting experiments that are not really necessary anymore because they're no longer original. They could miss out on vital collaborations with experts because the analysis was incomplete. So these are all problems that are related to information overload. And they're very personal for the researcher, but they also affect students and postdocs that researchers are supervising, and it affects the system of research and scholarly communication as a whole. Now, the outcome of all of this is obviously the progress in advancing human knowledge is hindered. Now, I want to talk a little bit about our responsible use of AI. The principles that we aligned on for ScienceDirect are reflected across Elsevier. We are deeply committed to responsible, trusted AI from the top of our business. So Kumsal Bayezid, our CEO, has gone on record to say that safe AI is our #1 priority. We commissioned extensive insights into what our customers want from AI. We have a clear charter that we're firmly committed to, and made significant investments in AI across our product portfolio. So what we do is employ carefully refined prompt engineering to ensure accuracy and reduce the risk of hallucinations. Elsevier is very transparent in its AI practices, and we adhere to our responsible AI principles. We consider the real-world impact of our solutions on people. We take action to prevent the creation of reinforcement of unfair bias. We can explain how our solutions work. We create accountability through human oversight, and we respect privacy, and we champion robust data governance. So that's it from me. I'm going to hand over to Felisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. So what do we do with all of that? The most recent poll of the top research libraries in the United States shows that libraries are increasingly investing in AI tools and technology for various reasons. So now imagine providing your research community access to a generative AI solution on ScienceDirect that was built together with researchers to increase research efficiency and safeguard research integrity. Over 30,000 individual users from more than 70 organizations have been part of testing this product in our beta test program. And the insights that they've shared have greatly contributed to our improvement efforts. Our product, technology, design, and data science teams have analyzed more than 3,000 individual response ratings, over 1,000 in-product survey responses, and hundreds of transcripts from one-to-one interviews with users and librarians. All that feedback has played a crucial role in shaping the product development process over time, and has been invaluable in helping us work towards our goal of making research more efficient and rewarding. So what is ScienceDirect AI? If you put it in a sentence, ScienceDirect AI is a workflow companion that enables researchers to surface, cite, compare, and explore evidence from deep within trust peer-reviewed literature. It makes knowledge discovery more efficient, practical, and rewarding. So now I want to take a moment to get under the hood of our new tool and explain to you what we've built before I go into showing a demo. ScienceDirect AI is full of the latest technology, but there are 4 pillars that it relies on. It starts with transformative search, moving away from simple keyword search to find PDFs to an experience that enables researchers to describe what they are looking for in their own words and discover knowledge directly from the full text. This, in turn, enables precise citation by providing direct access to the source material for any generated assertions, thereby ensuring full transparency and verifiability. I want to stress that this is a key aspect of ScienceDirect AI that truly sets it apart from any chatbot on the web. We make it easier for you to discover, read, and synthesize insights from the full text of scientific literature by always referencing the original source of the insight and encouraging users to verify its validity and relevance. The third pillar is allowing researchers to easily compare experiments across up to 10 research papers at a time in an organized and comprehensive view. And finally, it provides a generative AI reading assistant that helps with quickly extracting and summarizing insights from full-length journal articles and book chapters without having to read through the entire document top to bottom. So as you know, we're not the type of company that rushes into innovation without first being clear on how we can make sure it's safe and trusted. So therefore, we first agreed on a set of principles that we wanted to deliver against to make generative AI research tools that could be truly relevant. First of all, content depth. ScienceDirect AI draws its answers from the largest repository of full-text articles and books. Then transparency. Every AI-generated assertion points back to the exact passage in the text that it was derived from. Usability. As mentioned before, we've been in touch with the research community through extensive one-to-one interviews, surveys, and other techniques to help shape the development of ScienceDirect AI. Reproducibility. We surface insights from all across the full text to really help you advance your research. Literacy. We think our tool should be usable for everyone in the research community. And continuity. By integrating ScienceDirect AI into your workflow on ScienceDirect, we bring the functionality to you. So from what researchers have told us they want, we have learned that they want better tools to help them more efficiently find and use the insights that they need to build their own knowledge, not a machine to do it for them. So that is exactly what ScienceDirect AI does. It's not an attempt to do the researcher's job for them. We're simply equipping them to do their job more effectively by building a tool that applies these principles. So now I will show you how ScienceDirect AI actually works and why we're so excited about it. Let me share my screen. There we go. So here you can see the ScienceDirect AI page where the user is invited to enter their own research question in their own words, using natural language, using their own language even. It doesn't have to be English, but anything that they are interested in. So let me put in a research question and click Get Answers. And what you see now is the system at work. You'll see that it will start optimizing your query. It will translate your query if necessary. It will extend abbreviations if you have used any, and it will decide which search strategy to use to retrieve relevant content, relevant snippets out of our database to send to the LLM for answer generation. And unlike most tools, the responses you get in the summary answer are sourced directly from deep within the full text, which means that you get more in-depth information and richer details. The references that you see in the summary are not just titles of papers, but I will show you the side panel shows you the exact passage that was used to generate the response from the original text. So every response in the summary answer, every assertion, every claim you're presented with is instantly verifiable. And you can see here that this claim, for example, was found in the section Materials and Methods. So that indicates to you that this is indeed extracted from the full text of this article. So if we scroll down beyond the summary answer, we'll have a list of references that were used by the LLM in the summary. And for each of these references, we've included an individual summary, very small summary that indicates how this particular reference is of relevance to your original query. And again, each of these are verifiable in the side panel. I think ScienceDirect AI also thinks it's early today. Let me wait for the summary response to be finalized. All right. We know that a summary answer to your question is just one way of finding information, right? So we've also introduced this pillar here, and I've mentioned that before, the compare experiments. So this will allow you to get an overview of all the experiments described in the articles that were retrieved in response to your query. And this goes on a paper by paper basis and an experiment by experiment basis, because as every researcher will know, an article will often describe multiple experiments, and they cannot be summarized into one line of experimental details. So we've extracted the experimental details for each individual experiment within a paper, outlining its goal, materials and methods, results and conclusion, and allowing users to very quickly skim through the content of the article, but also comparing experiments between different articles. And this is something that we've seen researchers do themselves, right? Take an Excel sheet while doing literature review and just copying and pasting bits and pieces of relevant information from within the full text. So we believe that this will greatly improve their efficiency. So let me go back to one of the references here. It's not playing ball today. I'm sorry about that. Because what I want to show you is how ScienceDirect AI is connected to its second pillar, the reading assistant, here on the article page. So whenever you've decided from the information in the side panel that it's worth reading the full text article, You will click on the View Article link and land on the article page on ScienceDirect, where the reading assistant will open and will immediately start answering your original question based on this particular article alone. And again, you can see that here in the answer, we've added references to the exact passage in the full text that this assertion was derived from. And this again helps researchers to just jump from one relevant passage to the other without having to read through the entire article top to bottom. The reading assistant is actually allows conversations. So you can really use this to interrogate the article. So for example, you can ask a follow-up question here. And again, it will start answering that question based on the article that you're looking at. You may have seen at the top of the reading assistant that there are a couple of tasks as well that you can perform. For example, again, summarize experiments, which you might recognize from the compare experiments feature that I showed you before. So summarize experiments will only look at this article and extract all the experimental details from this article, showing it to the user one by one for Of course, you'll be able to add the references to your library and also copy the summary answer for later use. So let me get back to the presentation. Dom, can you please share the presentation? Thank you.
We should be back. Thank you, Felicia.
Yeah. All right, so now let's have a look at what researchers have said about our tool after having it used for some time during the beta testing. As mentioned, we've kept in touch with the research community throughout the development of SDAI. And so we've been very pleased to hear them acknowledge the benefits of the tool exactly as we had envisioned them. So here's just one view from a really enthusiastic research librarian. And I have to say, getting this type of feedback is just extraordinary. This person in particular had been an AI skeptic and didn't understand the hype. But seeing and using ScienceDirect AI made them convert completely, and they saw the benefits it brought them and felt really good about it. Then we had, for example, Professor Pires from Porto, who has told us that this has actually transformed his work. And again, that is something that we just have not heard anyone say to us ever, at least not as long as I've been with the company. And it's not just about saving time, although that's one of the key benefits. Professor Pires mentioned that the effectiveness of the tool has actually allowed him to expand the scope of his research projects, investigate more diverse lines of research, and produce superior work. And this really resonates with us, as we are aiming to empower researchers to do more of what they're really good at, which is advancing human knowledge. And then on the right, there's Matias Montero, a PhD student at Oxford, who estimated that with all the features of ScienceDirect AI working together, he is saving an hour a day of his research workflow, which is probably about half the time he spends on his research, as he mentioned. And he says that it lets him dive deeper into reading more relevant and important papers and dedicating more hours to writing instead of getting lost in search or manually pulling out key takeaways. And this is another aspect that we feel is just a vast improvement over traditional search, getting a document result list. We've created a solution that blends discovery and reading together, that lets researchers use it not just to find papers to read, but to find the insights that they need to advance their work, and do that in a way that potentially collapses a workflow that can take hours into minutes sometimes. So now I just want to take a moment to touch on how this new tool, ScienceDirect AI, is complementary to our first generative AI tool that we released last year, Scopus AI. So there are two sides to the research efficiency problem. One side refers to inefficiencies in research planning, in understanding what has been studied, by whom, identifying gaps in literature and formulating hypotheses, finding the right journal to submit the paper, and so on. The other side refers to inefficiencies in the process of extracting information from full text to really understand and build knowledge, craft new experiments, compare findings, and more. So, with that in mind, Elsevier is offering two solutions for the two sides of the problem. You could say Scopus AI acts as a telescope, going from strategy to discovery, providing a bird's eye view of the full research landscape while helping researchers find collaborators and discover new topics. So you can think of Scopus AI as a doorway into Scopus's comprehensive and curated collection of data and abstracts, which helps you get a quick overview in seconds. The second solution for research efficiency is ScienceDirect AI, which, just like a microscope, zooms into the full text of articles and book chapters to synthesize evidence, interrogate a paper, and help researchers understand and compare experiments, all while supporting a search and verify process, which allows readers to identify the original source passage for every AI-generated claim. You can think of ScienceDirect AI as a doorway into the full text of millions of peer-reviewed articles and book chapters, making it the ideal choice for detailed analysis. So together, these two solutions cover both aspects of research efficiency, saving time and leading to better outcomes. So let me recap what we've discussed today. We know that reading remains one of the biggest unsolved challenges in the researcher workflow. We also know that because of the incredible growth of the published literature year over year, reading is a task that is only getting harder. We know that generative AI has tremendous potential to help solve this problem for researchers, and that researchers are demanding tools using AI to help them solve that problem. But we also know that generative AI, deployed irresponsibly or without careful thought, creates risk. So therefore, our aim is to give researchers the tools that they need in a way that minimizes that risk and helps them transform their reading and discovery experience for the better. And with that in mind, we've built ScienceDirect AI on the basis of researchers' actual needs and according to our responsible AI principles. And the result of our work is a feature-packed tool that uniquely works at the level of full text analysis, giving researchers an entirely new way to find and extract insights from deep within the full text, which is something that could previously only be done through a laborious process of individual keyword search, document result lists, PDF downloads, and manual extraction. And feedback during our extensive beta program over the past 6 to 8 months show that researchers see this tool as a game changer for how they can contribute to the base of human knowledge and advance their own outcomes. And finally, we are here to help you get this into the hands of your researchers. And with that, I want to hand back over to Rose.
Thank you, Felisa. So I just wanted to bring back this slide from earlier in the deck. as a coda to how we see the three broad categories of the research workflow. So our analysis showed that research tasks can be split into three roughly equal parts in terms of time required. We see strategy and planning, reading and analysis, and delivering and sharing. And we now have Scopus AI mainly focused on strategy and planning. You've just seen a demonstration of ScienceDirect AI that will help with reading and analysis. But we also know that the last part is what researchers are really in it for. They want to, of course, share their new thinking and share their research results with the world and make an impact. Now, we already have some great ideas for what we can do in this space as well. So please stay tuned, and we look forward to speaking to you about this again in the future. And with that, I will hand it back over to Don for a Q&A.
Thank you so much, Rose, and thank you, Felisa, also. Two very great presentations. I think if you look at the chat, there's a lot of conversation, a lot of questions coming through. So I think that is testament to how interesting and insightful your presentation is. I would just like to call out a few links here for everybody on the call. So I know there have been many questions here related to, for example, certification. So if you would like to go to the first link, you can get certification from our Gen AI literacy program. We also have published a full Elsevier level AI report last year. So you can access that to gain more insights about the topic more generally. And if you are curious to learn more about Elsevier's responsible AI principles in general, I've also shared a link here for you to learn more about that. And so if you have attended today and you're interested to explore ScienceDirect AI, I encourage you to complete the survey. The survey link has already been shared in the chat, but I'm going to share it again. If you can complete this survey, you can request that a ScienceDirect AI expert will reach out to you and talk to you about the product, but also give you a one-to-one demo. So I encourage you to complete that form and to request sales follow-up. Beyond that, if you scan this QR code, you can also go to our campaign page. So this will tell you more about ScienceDirect AI in general. So many of the questions that we've been getting through will be answered in the FAQs section there. But for those questions that have not been answered to date or cannot be answered by the FAQ, I'm going to direct them now to our speakers. So let's go to top level now. I think this could be more of a conversation between the two of you. So what are the key challenges libraries face when integrating AI tools, and how can they overcome them? Any thoughts about that, Rose?
Well, it's a very open question. So it depends on what that refers to. I mean, I think the challenge, when I talk to librarians, what I hear a lot is that librarians are struggling to assess which Gen AI tools are actually suitable for their researchers, and that the librarian is actually expected to have a view on that. So, I mean, that is one of the difficulties I think librarians face. So what would be useful for librarians is to have a good way of evaluating different tools available, have a clear view of advantages and disadvantages, and in that way make a good decision on what Gen AI tools would be most helpful to their researchers in their institute.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very true. It is an open question, and there are many challenges, but we're hoping that ScienceDirect AI can meet the challenge. Okay, so we did have questions also that wanted to understand a bit more about the differences between Scopus AI and ScienceDirect AI, and I know that was in your part of the presentation, Felisa, but I wondered if maybe you could take the opportunity to reinforce a little bit there what the differences are between the two products.
Yeah, so indeed, as I mentioned, basically those two products are targeting two sides of the efficiency problem. right? So they're complementary, and we really see them as complementary. It's not one or the other. They both serve different use cases. And so we've built these tools on similar platforms, and we're using similar technologies. But the underlying technology and the solutions to support these different use cases and problems are very different. So you'll also see that the output and outcomes of Scopus AI will be different from ScienceDirect AI, and will be serving a different use case, which is more for Scopus AI, more getting a big picture of the field, strategizing, finding collaborators. And for ScienceDirect AI, it would be more about finding detailed insights, finding information on experiments for setting up your own experiments, and comparing outcomes of previously published literature with your own.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Felisa. And a follow-up question to that. Can you clarify the ScienceDirect AI features? They work solely on ScienceDirect?
Yes, they do.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so another high-level one. I think this could also prompt an interesting discussion, and maybe it speaks a little bit to what you foresee on the horizon, Rose. What are the implications of AI in 2026 and 2027? Wide-reaching question, but what do you see in the future?
Well, I mean, I wish I could look in the future. I mean, the development of Gen AI has accelerated really over the past year. So now, we're starting to see more and more interesting technologies come out. So it's impossible to predict where we will be next year or the year after. But I think, common theme will be increasing capability to solve big problems in research with the help of Gen AI. It feels like we are really at the start of what we can do. We need to be careful, of course, not to try to replace researchers. That is not the goal. But there are a lot of tasks in the researcher workflow which are automatable. We want researchers to be able to focus on what matters most, is really doing research and doing the critical thinking. And so I expect there will be more and more capabilities in future that's going to help us with that. And yeah, I mean, the rest, I wish I knew. It would be great to hear people's thoughts in the chat on what they think 2026 and 2027 will look like.
Yeah, please, for attendees, do contribute your thoughts into the chat. I think it's a very interesting discussion. And I think, Rose, what you talk about, the fears about replacement is one that we see across, the entire workforce, not just in research. But I wonder, Felisa, did you have anything to add to that conversation?
No, I mean, I think that's exactly it. We're here to support researchers doing what they do best, which is indeed the critical thinking and advancing human knowledge. We don't want to replace them. We want to support them. So, and again, I've mentioned it before, we've been working with the research community in the product development so far, and we are super keen to continue that collaboration. So please let us know where we can support you, so we can help you going forward, and hopefully in 26, doing research will be just super easy.
Absolutely, and I think we're getting into some technical questions as well here. So, and some of these are addressed in the FAQs, but as we've had a few of them, I think maybe it's appropriate to come to them. And Felisa, I wondered if you could speak a little bit about bias and hallucination with regards ScienceDirect AI.
Yeah, of course. So unfortunately, we cannot prevent hallucinations entirely, because the nature of LLMs will not let us. But through prompt engineering and and also the basing all the responses on our corpus of content will help reduce the risk of hallucination, also of bias to the most extent. So again, I want to emphasize that, our approach of basing every generated response on retrieved content from our database of trusted peer-reviewed content is the basis for an outcome that hallucinates as little as possible and is as biased as little as possible.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that answer. And I have seen a question there, but I've lost it. But it was relating to the limitation in dates, of published information. So does ScienceDirect AI have a limit in that sense, or what are the limits?
So we are currently including as much content as we can from ScienceDirect. That goes all the way back to 1935, although most of the content will be from after 1996. We are in the retrieval process. We are using a small recency boost. So we try to bring up more recent content. So we're favoring more recent content over older content. However, if the older content is more relevant to your query, we will still bring that up, of course. The current restrictions are that we need the content to be in a certain format for us to be able to publish it, to process it, sorry. But in the future, we'll be expanding the different formats that we will be able to handle to also expand the content base to older and also broader content. You could think of, for example, books, of which we have a fair few already in the database, but where we can expand a bit more as well.
Thank you. Thank you for that very considered answer, Felisa. So we have another question here. Most of our SD users are undergraduate students doing only limited research. So what features of SD AI are good for novice researchers, in your opinion?
Ooh, well, first thing that comes to mind is the reading assistant, because that will really, really help a researcher, a young researcher, student even, to grasp the intent of the article. So by just going back and forth in the chat, in the reading assistant, they'd be able to not only extract the insights that they would need to know of, but also ask about them, ask for further explanation. I know from experience that you can get lost completely in an article that spans like 10 pages, and at some point you're just completely lost, especially if you're not an expert on the topic. So if something like the reading assistant can then help you point to the exact passages of the text that you should be reading, then that is a huge help for especially those researchers and young students.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. I have another here. Is it possible to compare the experiments of two articles that appear in different search results?
That's an interesting question. I would say not yet, but the compare experiments feature is something that we're very much developing. I do have to say that I think you could make this happen by going to the regular ScienceDirect search page, finding your articles there, and from the regular ScienceDirect search page, you will also be able to select articles that you want to send to the compare experiments table. So that is not exactly what the question was, because the question was about, can I do it on saved articles? That is not possible yet, but you can find a way to input your own articles or the articles of your choice through the ScienceDirect search page. And again, that's also only available for ScienceDirect AI subscribed users. So that is part of the ScienceDirect AI suite.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe to add to that, we are actively working on this actually, because it came up a lot in our user research, people wanting to do to use the AI features on their own defined content sets. So we are working on this.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, so we have another one here. This is a longer one, so stay with me. One of the challenges in research is ensuring ethical and other writing standards for each field. So this is something that also causes delays, as they have to be reviewed by a reviewing body. So will ScienceDirect AI eventually have a tool to help researchers preemptively have their research drafts reviewed for writing standards and ethical considerations?
Sounds like someone has a great idea for
it fits into your future future slide, Rose.
Exactly. Now this is great to hear, because we were thinking in this direction as well. So if people feel this would be useful for us to work on, we would love to hear about it. Yeah.
There you go. So it truly is a tool developed in partnership with the research community.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
So here's another one. Do answers from ScienceDirect AI vary depending on what university is subscribed to ScienceDirect?
You mean what content a university is subscribed to on ScienceDirect?
Yeah.
I think so. So the answer is no. If you the summary answer in response to your query on ScienceDirect AI is not different for users that have different content subscriptions. So everyone's experience is the same. The same goes for the compare experiments table. So independent of your content subscription, you will be able to see the output there. The reading assistant is different, because the reading assistant will only appear on articles for which you have full text access. So that means either through subscription or because it's open access. So there you'll see a difference. But for the search and summarize experience and the compare experiments experience, it will be the same for everyone.
Excellent. Thank you, Felicia, for answering that one for us. Okay, so we are rapidly approaching the half hour, and I have had you here for almost an hour already. So, and I appreciate it's still very early in Amsterdam. So maybe if we could come to final thoughts before we close the session, if there's anything that you would like to share in summary about the presentation of ScienceDirect AI to our customers.
Oh, if we can share. Sorry, I thought you were asking the audience to share final.
Oh, yes, from our presenters, please.
Yeah, I was still trying to answer type questions and type answers in the chat. Yeah, I mean, I would just like to thank all the attendees for spending an hour with us to listen to our development on ScienceDirect AI. It's been a incredible journey for the past year with a team, probably over 100 people who have together at Elsevier worked on bringing this tool to life together with the research community. So we are very excited to see it out in the market now. Feel free to follow up with us with more questions, more detailed demo, I think maybe, Dom, you can pull up the QA code slide again, in case people missed it. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Rose. Felisa?
Yeah, thanks. I can only echo what Rose says. We've said it before. We are really, really excited about this new solution that is now on the market, and we're also really, really excited to get everyone's thoughts and feedback to be able to develop this even more and improve it to really serve everyone's needs to the best extent. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for the wonderful presentation. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I think you can tell we're all very excited about ScienceDirect AI. I hope you are too. Just to clarify, this session again has been recorded, so you will receive the recording in your inbox about an hour after we close. And if you would like to request a ScienceDirect AI expert to follow up with you with a one-to-one demo, you can fill out the survey that will be linked in the email. Thanks again for your attendance and for all of your brilliant questions. And thank you once more to our presenters. We are honored to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.